What's going on YouTube? Dr. Popcorn McBurger here with another video. And it has been a while. It has really been a while since I last uploaded a video. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was just short of 3 years at this point since I last made a video. And you guys might be surprised to hear from me, but I've got some big news. And I've got a situation that I feel like needs to be explained. And it partly is the reason for my absence. So let's just get into it. Before you watch this video, I think it would really help if you watch that video, the previous video that was back in 2017, because that kind of explains what it'll give you a little better context for what actually went on. So, but I'll give a short summary of it right here. So basically, Dr. Popcorn Burger 2, the account I'm on right now, this account got terminated. This tune got terminated for reasons that I was never completely certain about. I was never sure why, what happened in order to get him terminated. If you recall, I thought that it was because I allowed my friend Max to use it on occasion to help level up his new tune, and I assumed it was that. Which never really made a lot of sense to me, though, even still, because my account got terminated in spite of. He got terminated for because I allowed a globally terminated user on my account. That was the explanation that TTR gave me. But it was kind of weird because though Max had an account terminated prior, he never was globally terminated. When he allegedly got globally terminated was the exact time that this account got terminated. So it was like I didn't let a globally terminated user on my account while that user was globally terminated. It was a situation where a globally terminated user was on it prior to being globally terminated. So I thought that was my whole thought process there. So basically for 3 years, that's kind of how I was thinking about this whole situation. And I'd emailed with TTR, I'd tried to explain the situation, I'd go on, there were countless email chains sent back and forth. Max eventually got to where he was no longer globally terminated or IP banned or anything like that. He was just able to play again. So I mentioned that to them, and then they just weren't having it. So I basically just kind of more or less was just like, well, I guess it is what it is here. Not going to have Dr. 2. And so during that time, I kind of, at least for a year and a half, I kind of lost some motivation to play, truthfully. Simply, just because I worked this hard, I kept the original Dr. Popcorn and Dr. 2 even for so long that it just didn't feel right. It was just like I just lost a lot of progress, and I kind of just lost, like I said, I lost motivation to play. I would still come on occasionally, namely for when I went to Replay FX, because there was the Toontown area, the Toon Fest portion of it, and that was always fun to meet up with friends and play that. I would go with Rocky and a couple other people every year. So that was always fun. And then I would also go on New Year's Eve, I would go to Rocky's on New Year's Eve every year, and that's been going on for, I believe, at least the last 3 or 4 years at this point. We kind of have like a meetup there. We have, some more friends, usually from the offline, Toontown offline. They come visit. So yeah, there was like 2 times a year when I was kind of interested or kind of actively playing, so to speak. Like I would play like a week or 2 before that that kind of. So that happened for about a year or two, and that was how things were going for a while. I was able to, in over that time period, mostly, I guess, so more in the last year and a half. It all runs together a little bit. Build up a couple new accounts. I made a Dr. Popcorn McBurger 4. I made a Dr. Popcorn McBurger 5, which I'll discuss in more detail later. But anyway, in our most recent visit, which would be New Year's Eve, our most recent visit to Rockies, it was Smoke and Foreman and myself only who went. And we participated in the New Year's Eve / day Top Tunes marathon thing. And it was kind of, I believe it was pretty early in the morning when we were playing. And we were fortunate enough to win. I believe it was the most floors done or something. We were fortunate enough to win for that hour. But when we got the results back, we all worked together. It was the three of us and Nat. From Toontown Offline. She's the Reddit moderator. Nat was also playing, but she wasn't there. She was just playing with us. And at that point, Nat was awarded the shirt, and Smoke and Foreman was also awarded the shirt. I'm sure you guys know these people. I don't need to really go into too much detail. Smoke and Foreman's a Toontown Offline person. He's pretty important, pretty big YouTuber. But anyway, so they were given the shirt, but I was not, and Rocky's account was terminated, which he somewhat expected eventually for it to be, because he's obviously IP evading. He's evading. He's IP ban evading. So that's just kind of how it goes, and they got him. So yeah, that's how that went. But anyway, so I didn't receive my shirt, and I didn't get banned or anything. So I I sent an email to support. I'm like, hey, I didn't receive my shirt. What's the deal? I've worked with them. Why did I not get my shirt? And that process took quite a long time. It took quite a long time. We were into April, and it was kind of just finally resolving. And they finally told me that they could award me the shirt. At that point, I didn't really care. At that point, it was like, so many months later. But they did tell me they could award me the shirt. So that was nice, I guess. But before they had to give it to me in game. But unfortunately, a couple days after that is when everything kind of happened. I had all 4 of my other accounts. And bear in mind, Dr. 2's already terminated at this point, so 5 total. I had my 4 accounts all terminated. And I didn't know why. It's for seemingly no reason. They were all terminated. And I'm about ready to show you the emails that went on in that situation. And just give me 1 second. All right, so here are the emails. This is my initial email that I sent to TTR asking why I was suddenly globally terminated. I hadn't been playing, as you can see in the email. I told him I hadn't even been playing the last few days. I didn't receive any warnings, kicks, no moderation interaction whatsoever. Never received an email. I didn't know if it was a mistake. I highly doubted it was a mistake. I just kind of had a hunch that it was kind of because they kind of linked me to Rocky, and I'll get more into that a bit later. But yeah, so I sent in this email, and they just kind of told me, my account, as they told me before, was I had a past global termination, or someone had access to my account. So I'm kind of getting flashbacks here toward the Max incident, or what I thought was the Max incident. So, they just kind of blew me off there. And then I'm like, well, I kind of sent another email back. I'm like, nothing happened. I don't know, how could I be ban evading when I was never banned? There was no termination. None of my accounts were terminated except for that one that was 3 years ago. How am I ban evading when there was no ban? It was very confusing. And then they just kind of were like, after a thorough investigation, again, blowing me off, we identified you as a globally terminated user as stated in previous emails, of which there were none. You are no longer to play, Toontown rewritten, and all that. So at this point, I got kind of angry. I got a little pissed off, and I sent them a long email. And this is what I sent to them. Just basically explaining that I never received an email. I've gone 3 years again without any issue. I had an original account that got terminated for pretty much a similar issue. I sent in the long email chains. We went back and forth. I've been to in-person Toon Fest. Spoke to Augie Doodle personally about this. I had my Toon drawn there. I mean, I gave him the email or the username and email then. Something's not adding up here. There's some disconnect going on here that I don't really understand. That you guys got the wrong person here. I'm not. There's something wrong. And I just kind of told that to them. And I just kind of asked them, like, why don't you just allow me to prove it to you? Because I could very easily prove to you that I'm not someone who's globally terminated. And I had a feeling at this point that, and as you could probably see at the end, I'm like, I think you think I'm Rocky, but I'm not. So why don't you allow me to prove that to you? And to my surprise, this is what I got back. They told me that they made a mistake, and I give them all the credit in the world for that. I'm going to go over this email. There's two parts to it, but there's not much on this second one. So I'm going to read some of this email here to you guys about what they told me. So they're like, they apologized for the delay regarding my termination. We've taken time to review your case in depth, and my case is more complicated, blah, blah, blah. So they're clarifying. And they said during the original investigation into your account, I guess back from 2017, it was found that your account had been accessed at a relatively large variety of locations, some of which were associated with well-known troublemakers within the community, at least one of those being a user who is globally terminated from the game, which is Rocky. I'm unsure if you are aware of who this user is, but I'm not going to elaborate any further. We consider this to be assisting in ban evasion and is not permitted as per our terms of service. This is the primary reason for your original termination. So think about that for a second. I just want you guys to I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I think this is a big takeaway that I want you guys to take from this. If you play at a location, or at least this is how they used to do it. It seems like they might be going away from it, but I wouldn't risk it. But if you play at a location, simply playing at a location that is where a globally terminated user is, or someone changed their IP, I guess that's what Rocky did, changed his IP to ban evade. If you play there, even if you're not them, even if you don't let them play on your account, that account can be terminated. And I kind of understand where they're going with that a little bit. Like it's hard to identify what's going on, who's playing, and all that. However, I mean, if it's like once or twice and then it's mostly in another location, I mean, that kind of shows that. And they wouldn't listen to me. They just, in all the emails, I'm not going to show all the emails from before because there were so many, but they didn't listen. They wouldn't listen and allow me to kind of like explain. Like I explained very thoroughly, but they just kind of didn't care. They just kind of blew me off. And I thought, well, I'll get into that a bit later. But anyway, we'll keep going. So in a separate I keep reading. I'm continuing reading on the third paragraph. In a separate investigation, one of your accounts was mistakenly identified as an account owned by one of the previously mentioned globally terminated users, which led to the termination of your other 4 accounts. This was a mistake, and the terminations on these accounts will be lifted. you should be able to log in and play right away on the 4 previously mentioned accounts. Now, when you originally appealed your termination, it was our policy to terminate any user to be found assisting in ban evasion. As that termination was found to be correctly applied, your appeal was denied. However, we have recently updated our internal policy, and this is no longer the case. Under our newer policy, we're able to lift the termination on your account. In order for us to lift the termination on the account that Dr. Popcorn Burger 2 is on, please do the following things. And they just tell me, change your password, enable TuneGuard. Until that's going to be locked. And I think the other big takeaway in the next, I guess here in the middle of the second paragraph on this screenshot, they said, please be aware that this is the one and only time we will lift your termination for assisting in ban evasion. Even though I don't consider what I did assisting in ban evasion, I just played there, but whatever. If you are found to have permitted this or any other globally terminated user access to any of your accounts at any point in the future, the account in question will be terminated without warning. To be frank, I would caution you against allowing allowing your accounts to be played by any other users going forward. And they just kind of recommend 2-factor authentication and all that. So yeah. I did that, and then they gave me Dr. Tupac, which was great. But I want to talk about this a little more. So this whole allowing other people, this whole playing at Rocky's house grounds for termination. It was kind of interesting because Smoke and Foreman didn't have any issues, so I was kind of under the impression that because he was so important, and he has so many more subscribers, and he's a very popular figure in the community, that they were not going to terminate his accounts, but they wouldn't mind because I'm much smaller time. I just not as big a deal, I guess, in the community. And for a while there seemed to be a lot of evidence for this, because the one time they did terminate his account, back, I don't know when it was. I think it was shortly after ToonFest 2019. So that would be, I guess, maybe around August or September sometime. I'll link the video to that too. But basically, the story goes that Smoke and Foreman was sitting there playing Toontown just like everyone else at Replay FX, and then he had to get up to go to the bathroom, and he told Rocky to watch his computer. And I don't think Rocky actually played the game, and Smoke and Foreman did not give him permission. But even if he did, I mean, he was just sitting there. He didn't really do anything. He didn't provide him the credentials or access. He just told him watch the computer. But basically, for 5 minutes, that was apparently just being around, just being that close to Rocky and having him the ability to use his account potentially. That was enough to get him terminated, and the community didn't like this. The community was pretty pissed off about this, and they let TTR hear it. And eventually they were facing so much backlash that they unbanned him. He got his account back. So we kind of had the inclination that maybe they don't want to go down that road again. Maybe he's unbannable at this point. They don't want that to happen. But for me, there wouldn't be as big of an uproar. Obviously, there would not be, Smoke and Foreman has, I don't know how many subscribers. So that was kind of the indication that we had. But as you can see, it appears that, it is the fact that this is a fact that that's not how they operate anymore. And I mean, I guess maybe their moderation has been getting a little better. So I mean, it wouldn't be fair for me to criticize them in the past and not make this video here that I'm like when they did something good. So I have to give them props for that, and I hope they're on a good path. I really do, because I mean, I've been critical of them in the past, but they certainly did something good here, and it still doesn't really excuse losing one of my accounts for 3 years and then banning all my other accounts, but I mean, at the same time, it is what it is. And just by the way, I'm sure you guys have noticed these emails are from like the end of April, so this video is like 2 months after the fact. And I've been pretty active recently, but anyway, so and Dr. 2 fell asleep. But yeah, so that's basically all I want to talk about on that. As for the other tunes who were affected in this, Zach, and I don't remember if you guys remember, but Zach had 3 accounts terminated. My friend Zach, and my other friend Jonathan, he had an account terminated in this whole mess. Jonathan emailed TTR, and he was able to get his account back, which is great, obviously. Zach, on the other hand, he created a new account, and he doesn't have any interest in getting his back. So, I mean, he had a 135 laugh, and I mean, it's kind of crazy to me, but yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure they would unterminate his if he ever changes his mind. But yeah, so that's what happened. And I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna, and I have been continuing on maxing on my way to maxing ball spot. I mean, that's where I kind of left off. I was level 20. I think level 26 big cheese at the time. Now I'm level 29. So yeah, pretty good. So yeah, just to give you guys an update, beyond the fact that I have all of my accounts back, am I going to start making videos again? Besides this one? And I think so. I think I'm definitely going to upload every so often. I don't know how frequently that'll be, but I don't expect 3 years to go in between uploads again. Like I said, I've got 5 accounts now. They're all over 100 left. I've got, and I'll probably do a video. I'll, I guess, at least feature Dr. 4, Dr. 5 in some videos. But so I've got a lot of tunes. I've got a lot of tunes, and well, there's not really been a lot of new content for TTR at all. Like, there's actually been none. They've been teasing the new field offices, which hopefully they bring those out. I'm definitely gonna do some videos on those if those ever come out. I don't know what year. Maybe by 2030 we'll have them. So look for that in 10 years. But yeah, that's all I have for this video. So until next time, guys, peace.